Why is a narcissist so comfortable being alone in the bathroom? There's something strangely revealing about the way a narcissist behaves in the most private moments. Moments most people reserve for quiet, for reflection, for being truly alone. And one of the most overlooked yet telling behaviors is this. Why is a narcissist so comfortable being alone in the bathroom? At first glance, that question might sound odd. The bathroom? Really? But if you've lived with a narcissist, you've probably noticed it. They don't just go in there to use the bathroom. They linger. They take their phone. They check themselves in the mirror. They might even leave the door open. And when they're in there, they don't seem to be alone at all. It's as if someone else is always watching. But here's the deeper truth. The bathroom isn't just a room to them. It's a stage, a sanctuary, a place where they can perform, reflect, and reinforce the image they want to believe in. And their comfort in that space more than anywhere else reveals something fundamental about who they really are. Today, we're diving into the psychology behind why a narcissist feels so at ease being alone in the bathroom. This isn't about humor or exaggeration. It's about understanding the hidden patterns of narcissistic behavior patterns that explain so much about why they act the way they do in relationships, in public, and even in the most private moments of their lives. Because if you've ever felt like you were living with a performance, like nothing was ever real, this will help you understand why. And more importantly, it will help you see the person you thought you knew was never really there. So if you've ever wondered why the bathroom seems to be their favorite room in the house, if you've noticed how long they stay, how much time they spend looking in the mirror, how they seem to need that space to maintain their presence in the world, stay with us until the end. What we're about to uncover might finally explain the invisible walls between you and them. Let's begin. To understand why a narcissist is so comfortable being alone in the bathroom, we first have to understand what alone means to them. Because for most people, being alone is a time to relax, to breathe, to be themselves without performance. But for a narcissist, being alone is not safe. It's not peaceful. It's not restful. It's threatening. Because in solitude, the mask slips. And that's why the bathroom is such a powerful space for them. It's not truly solitude. It's privacy with an audience. Even if no one is watching, they behave as if someone is. They check their appearance. They adjust their expression. They rehearse conversations. They scroll through social media, watching how others see them. They are not alone in the way we think of being alone. They are in a controlled environment, where they can still perform, still observe themselves, still maintain the illusion of being seen. Psychologists who study narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, observe that narcissists have a fragile sense of self. They don't have a stable identity built from within. Instead, their self-worth is entirely dependent on external validation, on admiration, attention, and the perception of others. Without that, they feel empty, hollow, invisible. So when they're in the bathroom, they're not resting. They're working. They're reinforcing the image they need to survive. The mirror isn't just glass. It's a tool, a way to confirm that they still look powerful, attractive, in control. It's where they rebuild their confidence before re-entering the world. And that's why they're so comfortable there. Because it's the only place where they can be alone and still feel seen. They don't go in there to escape. They go in there to prepare. And that's why they linger. Why they take their phone. Why they might leave the door slightly open. Why they sometimes call out to you while they're in there. Not because they need anything, but because they can't tolerate the silence of being truly unseen. Because for a narcissist, silence is dangerous. Silence means no one is watching. No one is validating. No one is reflecting back the image they've built. And in that silence, the truth begins to surface, that they are not as special, as powerful, or as loved as they pretend to be. But in the bathroom, that truth is kept at bay. They look in the mirror and see the version of themselves they want you to see. They adjust their hair, their clothes, their expression, because it's not just about appearance, it's about control. It's about making sure that when they walk out, they are once again the person the world expects them to be. And that's why they're so comfortable in that space. It's not comfort in the way we think of it. It's necessity. It's survival. Now let's go deeper. One of the most painful experiences for someone in a relationship with a narcissist is the feeling of never truly connecting with them. You might have tried to be close, you might have shared your deepest fears, your hopes, your dreams, but somehow they remained distant, not physically, but emotionally. It was like talking to a wall that smiled back, and that disconnect often becomes most obvious in the bathroom. Because while most people use that space for privacy, for relief, for a moment of quiet, the narcissist uses it differently. They don't shut down. They don't let go. They don't relax. Instead, they remain on. They remain in character, even when no one is there. Have you ever noticed how they might still be checking their phone, still be posing, still be adjusting themselves, even when they think no one is looking? That's not vanity. That's dependency. They are so used to being watched, to being admired, to performing, that they can't switch it off. Even in the bathroom, they are still playing the role. And that's why they're so comfortable there, because it's the only place where they can maintain the illusion without interruption. No one challenges them. No one questions them. No one sees behind the curtain. They are free to be the image they've created, without having to answer to anyone. But here's the tragedy. The person you thought you were in a relationship with, the confident, charming, powerful individual, is not real. It's a performance. And the bathroom is where that performance is rehearsed, refined, and reinforced. They don't go in there to be alone. They go in there to avoid being alone. Because true solitude, real quiet, unobserved time is where the emptiness begins to surface, where the lack of a true self becomes unbearable, where the fear of being forgotten, of being irrelevant, of being seen as they really are, becomes too loud to ignore. And that's why they can't stay in silence for long, why they need noise, why they need distraction, why they need to be seen, even if it's just their own reflection. Now, let's talk about the mirror. The mirror is not just a piece of glass to a narcissist, it's a lifeline. It's where they confirm their existence. When they look at themselves, they're not seeing a person. They're seeing an image, a brand, a role, and as long as that image looks strong, they feel strong. But if something is off, if their hair is messy, if their clothes are wrinkled, if their expression doesn't match the image they want to project, they become anxious, unsettled. Because the mirror is not just showing them how they look, it's showing them how they believe they are perceived. And perception is everything. Psychologists note that narcissists suffer from a profound lack of self-awareness. They don't understand their own emotions. They don't process guilt or shame in a healthy way. Instead, they rely on external feedback to know how to feel. If people admire them, they feel powerful. If people ignore them, they feel invisible. So the mirror becomes a substitute for that feedback. It's a way to simulate being seen, to feel validated, to maintain the illusion that they are still in control. And that's why they spend so much time in front of it. Not because they're vain, but because they're dependent. They need that reflection to feel real. Now, consider this. Have you ever walked into the bathroom while they were in there and noticed how quickly they shift? How they suddenly become more animated? How they might make a comment, crack a joke, or start a conversation, just to make sure you're seeing them? That's not coincidence. That's strategy. Because the moment another person enters, the performance begins. They can't just be. They have to be seen. And if you walk in and they're just standing there, quiet, looking at themselves, it breaks the illusion. So they shift instantly, into charm, into humor, into whatever role they think you expect them to play. And that's why they might leave the door open. Not for ventilation, not out of habit, but because they can't tolerate being unseen, even for a moment. Now let's talk about the phone. Why do they take their phone into the bathroom? Why do they scroll through social media, check messages, post stories, even while they're in there? Because the phone is not just a device, it's a window to the world, a way to stay connected to the audience they depend on. Every like, every comment, every message is a drop of validation, a confirmation that they still matter, that they're still admired, that they're still in control. And in the bathroom, where they are physically alone, the phone becomes their emotional lifeline. It keeps the performance going. It keeps the illusion alive. They might post a selfie from the bathroom, not because they need to, but because they need to be seen. They need to remind the world that they're still here, still powerful, still relevant. And that's why they're so comfortable in that space. Because it's the only place where they can be both private and public at the same time. They can be alone, but still performing. They can be hidden, but still seen. Now let's consider the emotional cost of this behavior, not just for them, but for you. If you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, you may have felt like you were living with a ghost, like you were never truly seen, like no matter how much you gave, how much you loved, how much you tried, you were never close to them. And that's because you weren't. The person you thought you were with, the one who smiled, who charmed, who seemed so confident, was not real. It was a role, and the bathroom is where that role is maintained. You were never invited into their solitude because they don't have one. There is no real them to connect with. Only the image, only the performance, only the mask. And that's why you felt so alone, even when they were right beside you. Because true intimacy requires vulnerability. It requires two people to be present, to be real, to be seen. And a narcissist cannot be seen, not because they don't want to, but because they don't know. Their entire identity is built on being admired, not understood, and the bathroom is where they protect that identity. So when you wonder why they're so comfortable being alone in the bathroom, the answer is not simple. It's not about the room. It's about what the room represents. It's a sanctuary of control, a stage for performance, a mirror to their emptiness, a place where they can be alone and still feel seen. And that's why they're so comfortable there. Because it's the only place where the illusion remains unbroken. In conclusion, the reason a narcissist appears so comfortable being alone in the bathroom isn't because they find peace in solitude or enjoy quiet reflection like most people do. In fact, true aloneness is one of the most threatening experiences for them. Instead, they use the bathroom not as a place to rest or be themselves, but as a carefully managed space where they can continue maintaining the image they so desperately rely on. It's a private room with a public function, a stage where they can check their reflection, adjust their appearance, rehearse their expressions, and ensure that the persona they present to the world remains flawless and in control. They aren't escaping the world in that moment. They are preparing to re-enter it. They are reinforcing the illusion that they are powerful, admired, and untouchable, even when no one else is around. They may take their phone in with them, scroll through social media, post updates, or look at photos of themselves not for entertainment, but for validation. Every like, every comment, every glance in the mirror serves as a reminder that they are still being seen, still being watched, still mattering. Because for a narcissist, existence is tied to perception. If no one is seeing them, they begin to feel invisible, and invisibility is unbearable. So they are not truly comfortable being alone. They are only comfortable in the illusion of solitude, because even in privacy they are never really alone. They are always performing, always on, always managing how they believe they are perceived. And that's the heartbreaking truth beneath it all. They live in a constant state of emotional disconnection from themselves. They are never truly at peace, because peace requires stillness, and stillness brings silence, and silence forces them to face the emptiness they spend their entire lives running from. They are never truly free, because their freedom is dependent on external validation, not inner stability. And they are never truly themselves, because they don't even know who that is beneath the mask. But you, unlike them, you can find peace in silence. You can rest without needing to be seen. You can exist without performance. Understanding this behavior isn't about hating them or holding on to resentment. It's about clarity. It's about recognizing that the connection you longed for was never possible, not because you weren't enough, but because they were never capable of offering real intimacy. They can't give what they don't have. They can't show up as real people because they've never learned how to be one. And once you see that, you can stop chasing a love that was always conditional, always performative, always about control. You can stop questioning your worth. You can stop blaming yourself for their inability to be present, because the truth is, it was never about you. It was always about their fear of being unseen. So you can walk away, not with anger, but with understanding. You can heal, not by trying to fix them, but by returning to yourself. You can finally be seen, not by someone who can never truly see you, but by the most important person, you. And that, more than anything, is the greatest gift you can give yourself. The freedom to be quiet, to be still, to be imperfect, to be real, to live a life not shaped by someone else's need for admiration, but by your own truth. That is real healing, and it begins the moment you stop looking for validation in the wrong places and start giving it to yourself. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If what we discussed today brought you even a moment of clarity, validation, or understanding, please consider hitting that subscribe button, giving the video a like, and sharing it with someone who may be on the path to healing from a toxic relationship. Sometimes just one message at the right time can make all the difference for someone who's still searching for answers. Your support helps us reach more people who need these insights. And for that, we are deeply grateful. And don't forget to leave a comment below. We want to hear from you, your thoughts, your journey, and how you're navigating life after toxicity. Tell us what steps you're taking to rebuild your sense of self, your boundaries, and your peace. Your voice matters, your story matters, and by sharing it, you might just help someone else feel seen, understood, and less alone in their own healing process. Healing is not a straight line. It never is. It's full of unexpected turns, moments of strength, and moments where you may feel uncertain or overwhelmed. That's completely normal. Growth doesn't happen in a straight path. It happens in waves, in small victories, in the quiet decisions you make every day to walk away from manipulation, from control, from pain. But every step you take, every boundary you set, every day you choose yourself over their chaos, every moment you reclaim your power, you move closer to your truth. You begin to rebuild your life on your own terms, not on the ones they tried to impose on you. So keep going, keep healing, keep growing. You are stronger than you think. And even on the days when it feels like the weight is still there, remember, you are not the same person you were when this journey began. You are evolving, you are learning, you are becoming more of who you truly are, free from their influence, free from their games, free from their need for control. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself. Stay grounded, stay strong, and never ever stop believing in your own worth. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity, and most importantly, you deserve a life that no longer revolves around their chaos. Keep walking forward, keep reclaiming your power, and never forget, you are not alone in this. Every step you take matters. Every choice you make brings you closer to the life you truly deserve.